The room was full when Daniel Mercer began to cry. More than 300 people watched him stand under the bright lights. Behind him was a huge photo of a 16-year-old girl, his daughter, Emily. For 11 years, Daniel had told the same painful story. Emily had disappeared one cold night and never returned. He had written 3 books about her. He had appeared on television many times. People had donated thousands of dollars to his foundation. Everyone knew him as a father who never stopped searching. "I still leave the porch light on," Daniel said softly. People in the audience wiped their eyes. Then the back door opened. A young woman stepped inside. She wore a simple dark coat and carried an old photo album against her chest. She did not speak. She quietly took a seat in the last row. Daniel continued his speech. "If Emily can hear me," he said, "I want her to know that her father never gave up." The young woman slowly looked up. Her name was Emily Mercer. She had not been missing, not for 11 years. Daniel knew exactly where she had gone. Emily watched her father sell the same lie that had made him rich and famous. She felt no anger on her face. She had waited too long for this moment. Inside the album were photos, dates, letters, and receipts. Proof. Her late grandmother had kept everything. Then Daniel looked toward the back of the room. His eyes found Emily. His voice stopped. The audience turned to see what had frightened him. Emily stood. The old album was still in her hands. Daniel became pale. For the first time in 11 years, the famous grieving father had nothing to say. Emily walked toward the stage. Daniel stared at the album. Then, in a weak voice, he whispered 5 words. "Where did you get that?" Emily opened the first page. And Daniel knew his perfect story was over. 11 years earlier, Emily Mercer was 16 and still believed her father loved her. Their house looked peaceful from the outside, but inside, every room felt cold. Daniel was always busy. He spent hours behind a locked office door. He often told Emily never to enter. One afternoon, she heard him leave for a meeting. His office door was open. Emily only wanted to find an old school paper. Instead, she found a blue folder hidden under his desk. Inside were bank papers, donation records, and letters with false names. She did not understand everything, but she understood one thing. Her father was hiding money. That evening, Daniel found the folder on her bed. He did not shout. That frightened Emily more. 2 days later, he told her she would stay with her grandmother's sister in another state. Only for a few weeks, he promised. Emily believed him, but the weeks became months. Her phone number was changed. Her messages stopped reaching home. Every time she asked when she could return, Daniel gave another excuse. Then one morning, Emily saw her own face on television. Missing daughter. She could not breathe. Daniel appeared on the screen, crying. "My little girl vanished," he told the reporter. Emily immediately called him. He answered, "Dad, what are you doing?" There was silence. Then Daniel spoke in a cold voice. "Do not come back." The call ended. For years, Emily wrote letters. She begged him to tell the truth. She asked why he was pretending she was missing. Daniel never answered, or so she believed. Now, 11 years later, Emily sat alone in her grandmother's old house. She opened a wooden box hidden behind a loose wall panel. Inside were all her letters. Every envelope had been opened, and on the first one, in Daniel's handwriting, were 4 words. "Do not let her return." Emily stared at the 4 words until they became difficult to see. "Do not let her return." Her father had received her letters. He had read every word. For 11 years, Emily had believed she was forgotten. Now she knew something worse. She had been hidden. Her hands shook as she searched deeper inside the wooden box. Under the letters was a small key and a note written by her grandmother, Rose. "The truth is where our happiest memories sleep." Emily read the sentence twice. Then she looked across the room. On the highest shelf stood an old red photo album. She remembered it from childhood. Rose had filled it with birthdays, Christmas mornings, and summer trips. Emily used a small key to open the metal lock around it. The first pages looked normal. Then she reached the year she disappeared. Her breath stopped. There was a photo of Emily standing beside Rose outside a small house. Daniel was in the picture too. The date was written underneath. It was taken 8 months after Daniel had told the world Emily was missing. Emily turned another page. Another photo. Daniel sitting across from her at a restaurant. Another date. 2 years after her disappearance. Behind the picture was a receipt with Daniel's signature. Emily kept turning pages. Each one proved the same thing. Her father had known where she was. He had visited her. He had smiled beside her. Then he had gone home and cried in front of cameras. Emily felt sick, but Rose had saved more than photos. Inside the back cover was a thin envelope. Emily opened it. A note fell into her lap. Emily, if you are reading this, your father is still lying. Do not trust his tears. Look behind the last photograph. Emily slowly turned to the final page. There was one large picture. She lifted its corner. Behind it was a document. Emily read the first line. Then her face went pale. Her disappearance had never been an accident. It had been planned. Emily read the document 3 times. It was dated 2 days before Daniel sent her away. At the top were the words, "Public story plan." Her father had planned everything. The missing posters, the television interviews, the crying speeches, even the foundation. Emily felt cold. Daniel had not simply lied after she left. He had prepared the lie before she was gone. The document listed dates for interviews and donation events. Beside one date, Daniel had written, "People give more when they still have hope." Emily closed her eyes. Then she remembered the final photograph. She pulled it from the album. The picture showed Daniel standing beside her outside Rose's house. Emily was 18 in the photo. Behind them, Rose was holding a newspaper. The date was clear. On that exact day, Daniel had appeared on national television and said he had not seen Emily for 2 years. Emily turned the photo over. Rose had written one sentence. "He asked me to destroy this. I did not, but there was more." Inside the album pocket were bank records. Money donated to search for Emily had paid for Daniel's new house, expensive trips, and private debts. Emily understood everything now. Her father had not lost a daughter. He had created a business. She could have posted the proof online that night. She could have sent it to every reporter. But Daniel had spent 11 years controlling the story. Emily wanted him to lose control in front of the same people who believed him. Then she saw an invitation on the table. Daniel was holding a special event the next evening. 11 years without Emily. It would be live on television. Emily looked at the album. For the first time, she smiled. The next evening, Daniel stood before hundreds of people and began his favorite speech. "I would give anything to see my daughter again." From the back of the room, a calm voice answered. "Then turn around." Daniel froze. Emily was standing there, and every camera was already recording. Daniel did not turn around at first. The room had become completely silent. Then Emily spoke again. "You said you would give anything to see me." Slowly, Daniel faced her. For 1 second, fear crossed his face. Then the cameras moved closer. Daniel suddenly smiled. "My daughter," he whispered. He stepped toward Emily with open arms. She did not move. "Please don't," she said calmly. The smile disappeared. Daniel looked at the audience. "Emily has been through a lot," he said. "She is confused." Emily placed the old album on a table. "No," she replied. "I finally understand everything." She opened the first page. A large screen behind Daniel showed the photo to the entire room. Emily at 18. Daniel standing beside her. The date was clear. People began whispering. Daniel laughed nervously. Photos can be changed. Emily turned the page. A restaurant receipt. His signature. Another page. A letter he had opened and hidden. Another page. Bank records showing that money from the Search Foundation had paid for his private debts. Daniel's face became pale. "You stole those," he said. Emily looked directly at him. "From Grandma's house?" Daniel stopped speaking. He knew he had made a mistake. The audience heard it too. Emily reached the final page. She lifted the photograph showing Daniel beside her on the same day he had told millions of viewers he had not seen her for years. Daniel grabbed the edge of the table. His breathing changed. For 11 years, he had always known what to say. Now he had nothing. Emily looked at the cameras. My father never lost me, she said. He hid me because the story made him rich. Then a chair moved near the front row. A woman stood up. Daniel stared at her. His fear became worse. The woman held up an old phone. I worked for Daniel for 9 years, she said. Then she looked at Emily. And I have every message he thought I deleted. The woman's name was Sarah. For 9 years, she had managed Daniel's interviews, book events, and foundation meetings. Daniel pointed at her. She is lying. Sarah unlocked the old phone. No, she said. I was scared. She connected it to the large screen. The first message appeared. Daniel. Emily called again. Make sure no reporter finds her. The date was 7 years earlier. Another message followed. Daniel. The sad interviews bring more donations. Keep the story alive. The room exploded with angry voices. Daniel stepped away from the stage. But Sarah showed one final message. Daniel. If Emily returns, everything ends. This time, nobody spoke. Daniel looked at Emily. You don't understand, he whispered. I did all of this for us. Emily stared at him calmly. There was never an us. By morning, the video had spread everywhere. Daniel's publisher stopped selling his books. Sponsors left his foundation. Investigators froze his accounts and began checking where the money had gone. The world finally learned the truth. But Emily refused every paid interview. She did not want fame. She only wanted her name back. 3 months later, Emily returned to Rose's empty house. She sat by the window and opened the old album. For years, she had thought the pictures were proof of everything her father had taken from her. Now, they meant something different. Rose had saved the truth when Emily was too young to fight for it. Emily placed one new photograph on the final page. It showed her standing outside the house alone. Under it, she wrote, "The day I stopped being lost." Then she closed the album. For 11 years, Daniel had sold the world a story about a missing daughter. But Emily had never been missing. She had been hidden. And in the end, the one thing Daniel used to build his perfect lie became the thing that destroyed it. A family album full of truth.